በስመ አብ ወወልድ ወመንፈስ ቅዱስ አሐዱ አምላክ። ኦሪት ዘፍጥረት ምዕራፍ 2 ቁጥር 7 እግዚአብሔር አምላክም ሰውን ከምድር አፈር አበጀው፣ በአፍንጫውም የሕይወት እስትንፋስን እፍ አለበት፣ ሰውም ሕያው ነፍስ ያለው ሆነ። Now when we say that Adam, Genesis chapter 2, Adam, the man that's called the man that was formed of the dust of the ground, the Genesis 2 Adam, where the Hebrew says, where yetzer Yahweh Elohim et ha'adam afar min ha'adama, where it says, and Yahweh, where yetzer Yahweh Elohim et ha'adam afar or afar min ha'adama, where yetzer, and he formed. Now in the Hebrew it uses yetzer, the yetzer, and he formed, Yahweh Elohim. Very interesting, because here in the scriptures in Genesis chapter 2 is the introduction of the divine tetragrammaton. We don't find it there in the beginning. In the beginning it says Elohim. But here in Genesis chapter 2, what we call the Genesis chapter 2 Adam, is formed. The translation, King James says, in the Lord, capital Lord, makes his first appearance, which is Yahweh, Lord God, Yahweh Elohim, formed man, formed Ha-Adam of the Afar, Now pay careful attention to Kedamawi Haile Selassie's Metaf Kedus, Me'eraf Hulet, chapter 2 of Orit Zefiteret, or of Berashit, or Baraseit, Me'eraf Hulet Kuter Sebat, Egziabeher Amlakim, so win Kamider Afer Abejo, Kamider Afer Abejo. The word abejo is key, because it has the idea not of making something, but refining one's morals or characters, in the sense of not just formed, but the sense of reformed. And here's the key thing: that word afer is related to the AFAR of Ethiopia. And since the AFAR are some of the longest lived people on the face of the earth, when we trace all the different groups getting back like 6,000 or so years, we find the AFAR of the AFAR triangle of Ethiopia. And amongst those people we have the Asai Mara and the Mera, Asai Mera, and the Adoi Mera. The Asai Mera, the reds, the red ones, and or the noble ones. These are class. Some say that there's classes. In today's society, these are class distinctions, but those distinctions between the reds and the whites were even more significant. Beraseit, or in the book of Berashit, which is the book of Genesis, which some of y'all say is the genealogy of Isis. But let's get back to the Hebraic, and then let's see, or let's attempt to learn the wisdom that Moshe was learned in of the ancient Egypts, or of the two Egypts, Upper and Lower Egypt. So let's try to see what Moses saw and seek to interpret this from how Moses, who's the alleged author of the book of Beraseit, Baraseit. Very interesting, because we trace this into ancient Egypt as a connection. But what we want to state affirmatively right here is that Genesis chapter 2 Adam was an Afar. You understand? Was an Afar. Kamidr Afer Abejo. Was not just formed, but was reformed according to a correct interpretation of the text. And here's what's very interesting. If we just take it from the Hebrew, according to وَيَيَتْر Yahweh Elohim et ha'adam afar min or min ha'adama, that he was created from the afar. He was created from the afar that was from Adam. Afar min ha'adama, from the Adama. So that Adama is one of the original peoples, but see here it's translated as the ground. You understand? But notice how Adama and Adam has as that common root, Adam, which is the red, is often translated red earth. So we can say that the Adam from the Afar tribe was from the nobles or from the Asai Mera, you understand, and not the commoners or the so-called whites, which were the Adoi Mera. So Afar, Genesis chapter 2, Adam was an Afar. This is what we need to understand when it's speaking about this thus. We need to now put this into context with the etymology. When we study now according to Hebrew, Afar, the Afar is thus, or says dry earth. You understand? Now, there's some definitions right here when you look in Gesenius lexicon, which is very interesting. They translated according to the Hebraics, according to the Ashkenazi's Hebraic translations and other scholars from a Eurocentric perspective. They have translated this as dry earth, dust, powder, ashes, earth, ground, mortar, rubbish, dry or loose earth, debris, mortar, or ore. So they are now trying to lead us to believe that, well, the Adam was created from dry earth or dust or powder or ashes or earth or ground or mortar or rubbish, dry or loose earth, debris, mortar, or ore. But which one is more according to the logic or according to the logos or the word? From the tribe of the Afar, which is the more logical, scriptural, biblical, historical, that Adam of Genesis chapter 2 was an Afar, and he was from those of the Adama, or the land, the Midr, that was called the Adama. He was one who was Abidjo, or one who was reformed, as, like, for example, this is the best kind of example that can be given for what does this word Abidjo? Abidjo. What does Abidjo mean? This is the key, because when you understand the Ethiopic, the Royal Amharic, and then you study it and go into the etymological roots and the context of it, it's not formed in the sense of making out of nothing, but it's formed in the sense of reforming one's character, reforming one's, you could say, moral character or refinement of manners. That this Afar was abijod from the others of the Adama, or of the tribe, the original tribe or remnant of those tribal people of the Adama, not to be confused with the Adam or the Zekar or Zakar Nekebau of Genesis chapter 1. So we have two different Adams here. You understand? And this is where it gets a little bit confusing, because actually ones would confuse Genesis chapter 2, Afar Adam, with Genesis chapter 1, the original prototypical Zakar when Nekebau or when Dinasate. So we want to distinguish this as Adam, the original Adam of Genesis chapter 2. Genesis chapter 2 Adam was an Afar. According to the text and according to a correct interpretation of the text, this is our conclusion on this matter, both when you study the Masoretic text of the Hebrew, where Yeyeter Yahweh Elohim et ha-Adam Afar min ha-Adama, or when you go to the Metaf Kedus of Negus Neges, Egzi Avihir Lamlakim, Sowin Kamidr Afer Abijo. Kamidr Afer Abijo. From the Afar of the Afer, Sowin Abijo. Man was created, or rather reformed. A man was reformed and placed into the Gennet, or placed into the enclosed garden that was in the Arabia, Horn of Africa region, between 6 to 13,000 years ago.